township, so we didn't really have any.
Rise from the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in your package, you had the regular town council meetings minutes from October the 27th and November the 10th. Are there any additions or deletions or corrections to the minutes? If so, they stand approved as presented. Report of the town manager.
Mayor Rush, members of council, tonight I would actually like to defer my time to Chief Todd Foreman, who has a very special presentation.
Well, I've got some items up here in front of us. We did a badge project with the schools. Ms. Boyer spoke to me a few months ago about combining art and police work and how she would do it in government. And one of the ideas we came up with is we worked with her to give her our mission statement, our values, our motto, all the things we believe, so that the students would see that. And with that, they came up and designed a badge for us and the center of the badge. And today we're going to recognize the winners of the badges because they were voted on. The medallions themselves, I had them framed for the students myself. And these were voted on by over 4,000 people voted for them and the winner, and we'll announce that in a minute. The person who designed the main part of the badge, which if I show you, you'll know which one won, was Talia Tuck. She's here today. Talia, would you stand up? And you can come up if you'd like and hold the badge if you want. You can hold one of them. The winner of the medallion, and we'll hold all the medallions up so everybody can see, but that was Wyatt Newman. He designed the medallion that won. So I'm going to call them both up so they can hold them and we can show you all what they look like. This is the badge. You can show that to everybody. And if I can get one more person, maybe Wendy or Leslie, to come up and hold some more of these, or you hold your own. So we can show everybody. We'll show the crowd and we'll show the counting numbers. We are very proud of these. We were very proud of these, and that's why I had them framed. The kids took a lot of effort, a lot of work in these to design these, and that's why I took them framed them all. We're going to have these, another set framed for the police department, so we can hang them in the police department and display the work the children, the kids have done for us. I think it was a great project where they learned a lot about the police department. As I spoke to them, they learned a lot about what we do and what we believe, and building trust and community relationship with the teens in our community, and that's what we wanted to do. And some of them have told me statements that they learned a lot. I'm really proud of them and proud of the work they've done. And we'll be wearing this badge at least 1 month a year during the month of March for Art Appreciation Month. So we'll have that badge, and when we get the first set, we'll have these two come and they'll pin the badges. We'll have a ceremony with them so they can pin the badges with some of the officers.
Which is the badge?
The one that won, they're holding them right there, those two. He won the center, and she designed the badge itself.
Chief, I'd like to also mention that there was so much support for this. The entire community, civic organizations, and community leaders donated all the money for this to be manufactured.
Yes.
So this did not come out of any other funds except for sheer support of the project. And special thanks to all the civic leaders, clubs, and citizens that donated the money for this to be manufactured.
Yes, it was not funded by any public funds. It was all funded by the
Black donated to my cause, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. And you both can take those pieces, they're yours to keep. And these you can give it to the others that want to decide, so they'll have their own.
Thank you, Todd, for
Thank you.
organizing this and bringing this community even closer together.
Thank you.
Okay, did you have anything? Okay. Are there any appearances before council? Okay. Council comments of this. I'll go there to CG, I guess.
I don't have anything in particular. I just would like to extend my appreciation to Councilman Slack as to working with him the past year. I've enjoyed it. I'm sure we'll probably get comments here and there moving forward, but appreciate your 4 years here, and good luck.
Thank you.
I'd echo that. It's been great working with you.
Just this past Saturday, I had the privilege, my wife and I and kids, to attend the Christmas parade. And I wanted to say I was quite shocked. I got on 460 and the traffic was backed up almost all the way to Walmart to go see. I think DW said we had over 2,000 cars go through the Liberty Lake Park in a short amount of time, so that was a definite success.
Brian, I echo the sentiments. I really do appreciate your service to our community. Before you got on council, you were a big part of this community. You've done some really good stuff. You've, I think, helped us change some of our culture, some of our belief that we can improve this community. And I know you'll be a big part of it going forward. And I just want to say, extend my gratitude to you as well. And likewise for the community events, there was the tree lighting this weekend, well attended. I'd just like to compliment our police department, Public Works. I mean, it's every time you're there, you get the job done, and we don't think you enough, but we do appreciate it. And hope you all have a Merry Christmas if we don't see you before then.
Well, I just want to say, I want to thank Brian for all he's done for the town for the last 4 years. He's put his heart and soul into this community and this council, and you'll be truly missed with your ideas and interesting projects moving forward, but hopefully you will be a part of this community helping moving forward to the future. And I just want to also thank Public Works, Police Department, and any other department that was involved with the community events this weekend. Thank you for all your help pulling these events off.
The thing I can do is echo what the rest have said. Brian, we really appreciate you. Hopefully you're not going to disappear from us, that you're going to help us with a number of projects and things that come in the area. I think it's great that Christmas is still alive in the town of Bedford in spite of COVID. We've had great things happen at Liberty Lake Park with the Christmas parade in reverse, kind of. The tree lighting was a nice, successful thing, and the Oaks Home presentation was also, they're lit again this year in spite of other problems. So, we're still going to be Christmas here.
Well, I was going to put this off until later after the Silver Awards, but since everybody's giving you an attaboy, we got a little gift from you, but I wrote some notes down here, Brian. Past 4 years that worked with Brian. Met him while he was working at Main Street. I think I, along with a few others here, encouraged him to run. Some of the accomplishments, Brian, that I obviously remember off the top of my head, and I'm sure there are many more, is the plaques around this downtown area and the banners was a result of Brian putting that together, and the plaques memorizing the Bedford boys on the different buildings. The banners that hang, again, banners that hang in downtown was his design. The gateway signage. he was the driving force behind the gateways that we're now putting up. It took him a while, and I know he got frustrated, along with a lot of us, getting them done, but they're done. He was on the committee on the design. And he pushed projects to get done, and I know that was very discussed. I had a problem with him, and I had to explain that government works a little bit slower than business. His expertise on the middle school fire, he was up there all night, and he said, y'all need to do this, and y'all need to do that, and with his expertise and the engineering background, he helped a lot on that. He took it upon himself to learn about the electric department by taking the classes through AMP, and he was the chairman of the electric department and committee, and I commend him for his knowledge on that. He became knowledgeable about town finances. He was an advocate for being conservative, yet one of the reasons our budget was so low is because of Brian last year. Sometimes we would debate him, but he learned to compromise. Brian told you something he wanted to do, he stuck with it. He didn't flip-flop. He had his thoughts, and he stuck by them, and he made his arguments, whether you agreed with him or not. You could count on his decision. He didn't want to flip-flop around and change it for this, that, or the other. Many of the ideas that he came up with, we're going to talk about later tonight on the RFP. And one of the best things that I think he's done in the last couple of months, he's now Bedford's own Don Amos with his podcast. I consider him to be a lifelong friend, and we'll miss him. And I'm sure he'll still be around, imparting his knowledge upon us. And with that, it's not a gold watch.
I'm starting to think maybe I should have had you as my campaign manager. This might have turned out a little better.
Well, if you got it worked, it will. But anyway.
I do appreciate everybody's comments. I learned a lot over the last 4 years. I do want to take the time to thank those on staff, Bart, all the conversations we've had, and I'm sure we'll continue to have. You know, you're the hand that guides everything, and it's a steady hand, and it's good hands. DW, your work ethic rubs off on everybody, and I can't thank you enough for all the work that you do with Public Works and your employees. John, your ability to maneuver through contracts and take us to a different level is unparalleled in your business, and I do appreciate learning from you. Chief, Foreman, for being the standard of how to run a police department. It's impressive when we do that national conference and they're asking you, how to do things, because they were very impressed. So we're in good hands, definitely, with you running that show. Gary McGyver, not sure a lot of people know, and that's a good thing, but the things you do behind the scenes are important to this community and how it opens up business. And I can't speak enough about your ability to get that stuff. Your knowledge is through the roof, man. I wish I had half of it. Mary, you and I have talked about this a lot of times. We both feel like we're just on the edge of explosion when it comes to economic development. And I know we're in good hands with you at the helm on that. Sonia, man, sometimes when you're around people and they know their craft, you just sit back and take it in. And when it comes to budget, I knew absolutely nothing. I thought I did, but you're at the top of your class when it comes to that stuff. And I appreciate the talks that we've had, learning about that stuff. In Chief Creasy with the fire department, I received a letter from him, a card, and it was very nice to me and my family. And I can't thank Chief Creasy enough in the fire department. the work they do. Deborah, every time I come in, it smiles, doesn't matter what happened, you've always smiling, and I appreciate that. It was a pleasure to work with you, and you're always there every time, whether it's a meeting or whatever. I do appreciate it. And I won't go too much further, but Will, your knowledge with the law is unparalleled as well. You've served this community well and will continue. I appreciate that. The citizens are in good hands, obviously. Councils will come and go, but the staff that you have here is phenomenal and should be commended at every chance we get. We're lucky to have that. That is a steady hand, and I do appreciate all the council people that I've worked with. I've learned a lot from every one of you, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay.
We didn't have any committee meetings, I don't believe, in the past, since we last met. Are there any revisions to the agenda, Mr. Warner? Public hearing. Department of Housing and Community Development.
Town of Bedford is holding a public hearing tonight, Tuesday, December 8th, at 7 p.m. in the Town of Bedford Council Chambers. The purpose of the public hearing is to solicit public input on local community development and housing needs in relation to community development block grant funding for a project in our community. Information on the amount of funding available, the requirements to benefit low and moderate income persons, eligible activities, and plans to minimize displacement and provide displacement assistance as necessary are available. Citizens now have the opportunity to comment on the Town of Bedford's past use of CDBG funds, and all interested citizens are urged to participate. Comments and grievances can also be submitted in writing to the Town of Bedford Planning and Community Development Office, 215 East Main Street, Bedford, Virginia 24523, by phone at 540-586-6006, or by fax at 540-587-6143 until 5 o'clock p.m. Monday, December 7th, 2020.
Public hearing regarding the Department of Housing and Community Development block grant is now open. If you have any special needs or comments, please step forward, state your name, address, and impart us with your wisdom.
Mayor Rush, Town Council, thank you. My name is Matt Perkins with the Central Virginia Planning District Commission, working as project consultant with the Town of Bedford on the current Hilltop Community Revitalization Planning Grant Project. As you just heard, the Town of Bedford is seeking funding from the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for community improvements in the Hilltop community. The goal is to apply and receive funding for use in the Hilltop community to assist in housing repairs and potentially stormwater, road improvements, and other pedestrian safety items as identified. Through coordinated efforts with the town staff and neighborhood and community volunteers, the town has already conducted 2 community meetings to gather input and ideas on community development needs, along with the housing rehabilitation projects, which provide eligible families 0% interest loans to complete housing repairs. An application may be submitted to also include infrastructure improvements, including, again, improvements of stormwater drainage, as well as pedestrian safety elements such as sidewalks and streetlights. Also, funding may be used to eliminate blighted structures. There are no CDBG activities planned in this project currently that would result in the displacement of any community residents. The town has not had any active CDBG projects in the previous 5 years. Maximum possible award is $1.2 million in community development block grant assistance. Currently, no additional funding source has been identified to support future project activities. Of this potential available funding, It is expected that nearly 80% of any award will be used to benefit low and moderate income persons. A more exact figure will be determined at a later stage in the development of the application and brought before Town Council at the next public hearing for this project. The Community Development Block Grant Program is a competitive grant program offered through the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for the purpose of applying to provide funding for community improvements to the area that have at least 51% of residents living in that area as defined as low to moderate income, which is defined as being at or less than 80% of the area in median income. Should funding become available, it would be available to income-eligible families that either own or rent their main dwellings in the project area. This program is very competitive, with localities across the Commonwealth applying for funds on behalf of small communities and neighborhoods, such as the Hilltop community itself. DHCD typically has between $15 to $16 million in competitive CDBG grants, but will receive something to the tune of over $50 million in grant applications. Neighborhood, community interest, support, and participation, as tonight in this public hearing, is key factor in determining which areas ultimately receive the funding. Again, thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak to the program. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of Matt while he's standing up here?
How are we coming on our surveys? I know we need to meet a certain percentage, a pretty high percentage.
Sure.
Just how are we coming on that process, if you don't mind?
Yes, so initially, as you know, Mr. Black, the project area that was defined through those community meetings, we had to meet a threshold of 90% or 91% of surveys from the community in that. Though we were not able to meet that threshold, there is another avenue through the funding through the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development to do a project which is called a scattered site project. So although we're not able to narrow it down to a particular block or a couple blocks of the project area, we are able to apply for the staggered funding, which would be able to do houses in different locations, and that still be very competitive in the grant application process. So that is the direction that we are going.
Thank you.
For everybody's benefit, I don't want to oppose this, but can you define roughly the geographical area that we're speaking of when you say Hilltop community?
Sure. Yes, and Mary, if you can help me out with this. Actually, can I let you take that? I don't want to misspeak to the project area.
The area originally defined as south of Washington Street, almost down to Edmond Street Park. And generally on the east side, it's going to be South Street, and on the west, it goes to Crenshaw. Pretty large area that they'd originally defined. And this goes back to your meeting that was held back in November of last year in the gymnasium, where we had a number of residents and citizens express concern about housing, other things as stormwater and lighting, sidewalks. So it's continuing the path that we started back then, in furtherance of the revitalization plan for Bridge Street.
I ask that for the benefit of those people here and listening in.
Good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Matt? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for your support.
Is there anyone else that would be interested in speaking regarding this topic? Public hearing is closed. Next is public hearing, conditional use, mini storage, mini warehouse units.
Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by Town Council at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, December 8th, Town Municipal Building, Council Hall, for the purpose of hearing consideration of a request for a conditional use permit for mini storage or mini warehouse units located at 911 Burks Hill Road, Bedford, Virginia, identified as tax parcel 252-A-17-T, consisting of 1.3 acres. The property is zoned B2, and at the time of the submittal was owned by Shirley Sneed. The request is being made by TAP Properties LLC, Forest, Virginia. Information is on file in the Office of Planning and Community Development for public review. Anyone who is in favor of or opposed to the request will have an opportunity to express his or her views at this hearing.
Public hearing is now open regarding the mini storage units on Burks Hill. Mr. Warner, I'm sure you're going to speak, and you can also address Mr. Slide at the end.
Probably doesn't want that. Thank you, Mr. Rush. And Bart. Just to walk you through the process here, Mr. Willis is here. He came to me and said that he had the piece of property that adjoins this, and I'll pull this down so maybe you can hear me a little better. And he purchased that property where the car wash is, and then this property became available. And so the business has done so well, which is a good story for the town, to have something that thrives that had not beforehand. And so he's improved that piece of property there with the car wash and already put a boat and storage place there. He wanted to expand that by building next to this facility at this property. So we came to the Planning Commission, and we got tabled once because there was some question about what it would look like, what the front of that building would look like, and what the site plan would be. And then Mary brought up some points about landscaping, and we needed to have some street trees to be in accordance with the ordinance. So we gave it a pause, went back at it, dropped some buildings that were along 122 there, and hopefully you'll have that new elevation that she sent. But when we came back to the Planning Commission, it was asked to add another condition to the front, that we would put some bushes in between the street trees. And so last minute, I kind of felt bad because Mary asked me if I could do that. I didn't think I really had the staff to do it. And I got lucky today that our graphic artist said she needed something to do. So I asked her if she could zip something like this to us, and so it shows you that screening, how it would look along the front. You know, he's done a pretty good job. If you look at the architecture of the buildings that he's done for next to the car wash now, we could build something very similar, same aesthetics. Looks, you know, what I would say, a little bit more classier than your traditional metal building look, and it would go along the same way here with this building. We do use up nearly every square footage that we can to get the 20,000 square feet in. Like I said, he's done a really good job at the site that he's at, and actually has a waiting list already for the site that he's at now. The stormwater component that would happen on this, it just so happens the property next door has a valley in there, and that's where we would put the stormwater component to address this facility. And I think that addresses any of those things that have come up in the past. If you have any questions, further questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Any questions?
I'll go ahead. I think, you know, I was on
Yes, sir.
council representative of the Planning Commission, but in some of this, I may know what you're going to say, but for the benefit of the council. As far as, you know, I was just driving down there today, coming back from Anita. I was trying to envision it. The side of this looks like it would be highly visible to people coming in from the lake. And I know we're talking about the front here with the bushes and the trees, but on the side of the building, was there any plan for anything to maybe obstruct the, I mean, what are the buildings made of?
So,
I don't know if they're metal
the
or.
back of the buildings now, it's actually is a pretty good example, because the side of the building that you see now is the side of the building that you'll see now, because essentially it's the same front that you saw coming from Anita. It's already there. It's the same front. This time it'll just be moved closer to the lake by one property. So essentially it's the same building that's there right now.
The house is coming down, obviously.
Yes.
Right. And we had mentioned also as a possible condition, and we did discuss it again for the benefit of the council. My understanding, this is before I was on Planning Commission or council, we have other storage facilities in town where we did require this sort of brick. I don't know if they were real bricks or not, or how it was done, but they looked like little brick buildings up by American Way Center and furniture store up there. Is that a possibility, and if not, why?
Usually those are on the fronts when you start something new. I would say that that would almost stick out like a sore thumb versus what's there now.
I would not personally change the aesthetics. It would look sort of like this lot doesn't fit the lot that he already has. So I would recommend and request that we build it the same way he's built it already and not do a fake brick front.
Trent, is there room on that, obviously, we're the adjacent property owner?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And we have plans at some point, maybe down the road, to develop that as an expansion of Liberty Lake Park.
Yeah.
Once again, coming down the road, I mean, I'm seeing the back of a metal building. Is there room to do the same type of screening with plantings and trees down that side of the perimeter of the property?
Yeah, I would love to do it if we had the room, but we would actually lose a whole row of buildings that you see along that whole side. So your 20,000 square foot that pays for your property and that type of thing, and your return, you would lose that whole row that's on that end over there. I would recommend, and actually to protect him, is when you go to build what we want to build on your property, is if you put a row of Leland cypresses on your site, to hide it, but if you go to put a ball field or something there on that side, I wouldn't want the baseballs or something dinging the side of a building. So I would almost do it to protect the adjoining neighbor when you decide to build. But there are 0 setback sidelines that he has, so, and we're literally just building towards your ordinance, what's allowed.
Can I add something to that building? The current building there now has got 16-foot ceiling height. These buildings obviously will not be that tall. And I believe if we're going to be looking at some soil on this, we'll probably have some of that building recessed in on that right side of the property line anyways. And so it's not going to be a lot of metal showing on that right property line like it is on that current building that's already there, just to kind of fill you in on that.
And would you state your name, please?
Todd Willis.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I knew that, but for the record.
Yes, sir.
And how tall are these?
These buildings will probably only be about 8 foot tall. The building there current is about 16 foot.
What he's referring to, if you notice that house is up on a hill currently, we wouldn't be grading up on that hillside. We're going to actually take that down and move it around the backside to help build the pond. So it'll actually be recessed down. And so what he was saying is on the backside of that building, if we can have a slope there that's an embankment, that's even going to hide the building further than what you see now.
So it won't be on the elevation where the house is?
Correct.
Okay.
We'll bring it down.
This is kind of probably a dumb question, but the trees, as they're in here, are grown? Are you putting
Yes.
little trees in that we hope will grow? Or
Yes.
are we going to have big trees there?
No, we won't be planting them to this height right here. You're right. What you're seeing there is a growth of an ornamental type tree. And when we first plant them, they'll be the 5-gallon variety from a good reputable landscaping firm or something like that.
Just for my reference, is it 24-hour security fence around the property, or getting in and getting out?
He's already had experience of why he needs that security there.
Oh, that's right.
At the car wash, so yes, it would be there. He had some bang-up job by your police force that helped him out there too, at the car wash.
So, in the office, will it be during the day, an employee unmanned?
Yes, sir.
So it would
Certainly it would be a manned office, probably normal business hours, 9 to 5.
9 to 5, but you do have 24-hour access.
Be 24 hours access with security, obviously dusk till dawn, lights for protection.
And the material on the office building is going to be exactly the same as the material on the building?
Not 100% sure on that. We may dress that up with some hardy plank and some rock veneer just to dress that building up so it stands out, look a little bit more attractive.
Right. And it'll be paving, it'll be paved
Yes, sir.
entirely. Okay.
I have one question. On the part where you're going into the storage unit, are you gonna have enough room off the road where a car, a big truck could get off the road to get into that storage unit?
You know, I had not accounted for it to be 40 feet into the depth of that, but that might be something we'd want to
Because
consider.
we have been
so that
talking
you're
about
not
narrowing
setting.
that road up there, and that's why I was asking that question. If a moving truck had to turn in there, will you have enough room for that moving truck to get off?
Yeah, we may have to recess that fence in there to be beyond that building so you can store in that. That's a good point.
And I have one question. These trees, are they on Mr. Will's property or are they on town property?
We've got them shown on our property.
Okay.
at the-
So y'all have to take care of
Yeah, we had buildings there at one time, so that didn't work out. The first comments we had, planning commission.
There's no power line down on that side. Is there a power line down that side where these trees?
I remember seeing a pole there, but I don't remember the power line being there on that side.
There is a power line there.
Back to the access issue, I assume after hours, each customer would have their own access code or card to get in, okay?
That is correct, yes.
Right.
Any other questions?
One last one. How much lighting? I mean, if it's going to be 24 hour, I mean, is it going to be a lot of light pollution or how is it?
We discussed that, wall packs, more like flood lights at the corners type thing. If it gets activated, like somebody's in there, it may cut on, but it wouldn't be full time. It's not going to be 25-foot tall lighting around it all the time.
Yeah, I don't really foresee you would see the lights as being pulled into the property. They would be, like Trent said, higher than the roof line.
Okay, I think I'll let him speak and then come back and ask.
Okay.
We're covered in it.
Sir, I'll come back.
Any other persons wish to speak to the public hearing on the mini storage? That public hearing is closed. Now hopefully, do we have any other questions of Mr. Warner? I jumped the gun. Okay. Okay, consent agenda, new business. It's what everybody's here been waiting, what everybody up here has been waiting for, is the service awards. Jerry Moulton, I thought I saw you here. Would you please step forward? Okay, Jerry was hired July the 6th, 2015. He has 5 years of service. Jerry began his career with the town of Bedford in July 2015 as a maintenance technician for the Public Works Department. He accepts any challenge that comes up daily, handling anything from plumbing issues to keeping Christmas lights on at the park. Jerry is a master woodworker that often makes customized projects to fit the specific needs. Step up here, Jerry, while I'll hand you your award. And in regard to social distances, let's pretend we're shaking hands. Thank you. John Wagner. I guess I'll stand up. John was hired July the 27th, 2015, 5 years of service. John was hired as the general manager of the electric utility in July of 2015. Since then, he has made tremendous contributions to the organization, the community, and its customers. Examples of his achievements include significant capital improvements to overall efficiency of the electric system, renegotiation of several operating contracts in more favorable terms, and the general improvement of the business model as documented for numerous years by our independent auditors. Step on up there, John. Thank you. Joshua Worley. Hired October the 13th, 2015, has 5 years of service. Josh joined the Public Works Department workforce in October 2015 as a maintenance operator. He has been an asset to the grounds crew since he started. Josh started working the summers through temp agency and showed good work habits and was in hired full-time. Yeah. Well, I can understand that.
Mine can too.
Pelletier. Hired December the 7th, 2015. He has 5 years of service. Josh began his career with the town of Bedford in December of 2015 as a police officer. He is an APS baton instructor for the police department. He is a positive mentor for new officers. Come on up here. Michael Knuckles. Michael was hired December the 7th, 2015. He has 5 years of service. Michael joined the town of Bedford in December 2015 as a maintenance worker 1 for the Public Works Department. He was promoted to maintenance worker 2 in July 2016. Todd, as we call him, is not only a good worker, but a mentor to younger people on the crew. Come on over here, Mike. You looking at DW for Edward Trent Jr. And I'll just say this one thing about Eddie. If y'all went to the parade, you know who Grinch is? There's Grinch.
Did he wear a costume?
He did wear a costume. He was hired June the 14th, 2010. He has 10 years of service. Eddie joined the Bedford Public Works Department workforce in June 2010 as equipment operator 3. During his tenure with the town, his entire 10 years has been working on the trash truck. He is dedicated to his job and runs around during 100-degree temps in the summer, pouring rain and snow in the winter. Come on over here, Eddie. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Shannon Walker. We all know who you are. Huh?
You forgot to say
The Shannon Walker. Legend in his own mind. All right, Shannon was hired November the 1st, 2015. He has 15 years of service. Shannon began his career with the town of Bedford in November of 2005 as a police officer. He was assigned to be a police investigator in January of 2011. He was promoted to police sergeant in July of 2014. He was then promoted to police lieutenant in May of 2015. Come on over here. And I think I'm probably the first person you wrote a ticket to. Thank you. Last but not least, Bart Warner.
Look at.
Was hired 4/24/2000. He has 20 years of service. Bart arrived in Bedford April 2000 as Director of Planning and Community Development. He added to these duties by serving as Interim Director of Park, Recreation, and Cemetery from May 2002 to December of 2002. In October 2005, he was promoted to Assistant City Manager while still continuing his role as Director of Planning and Community Development. Bart then moved to Interim Town Manager in April of 2017, and then interim status was removed September 2017 to make the promotion to Town Manager permanent. During his tenure, the organization has successfully addressed several challenges and transformations, not the least in which is the change of constitutional status from a city to a town. Prior to his arrival in Bedford, he was a designated career in local government administration in North Carolina. Thank you, Bart. Okay. Next is a resolution for conditional use mini storage and mini warehouse units.
The subject property located at 911 Brooks Hill Road is zoned B2 and has a single-family dwelling use on it presently. Property was recently owned by Shirley F. Sneed. Ownership changed to Michael Todd Willis on November 12th for Commissioner of the Revenue Records. The applicant is Tap Properties LLC, which proposes to demolish the dwelling and construct a mini-storage, mini-warehouse facility. The B2 zoning district allows this use with a conditional use permit in section 609.03.a. Planning Commission met on October 1st and also on November 5th and had serious deliberations about this project. A conditional use permit requirement in B2 allows the Planning Commission or Town Council to place conditions on a request to mitigate concerns raised from the proposed development. As noted, the applicant offered 2 conditions which the Planning Commission accepted, and the Planning Commission recommended an additional condition as well. The 3 conditions are: 1, a future site plan will be submitted to the Town of Bedford for approval prior to use of the site as presented at the conditional use permit hearings for a storage facility. The drawing submitted for the CUP is a concept intended to show the use of the site for storage by the applicant. 2, the site plans will be designed in compliance with the concept presented for the conditional use permit and will not be built until the site plans are approved by the town, county, and VDOT as part of the town's site plan review process. And 3, aesthetically pleasing plantings and trees will include additional shrubs and a berm at the front of the development. Tonight, Town Council is requested to consider issuing a conditional use permit for the plan presented as recommended for approval by the Planning Commission with the 3 conditions as stated in the attached resolution. Council may deny the request or approve the request with or without conditions, and you may also require additional conditions or amend those presented.
That being said, is there a motion? And please state the motion, whoever makes it.
I move that we request to consider issuing a conditional use permit for the plan presented as recommended for approval by the Planning Commission with the 3 conditions as stated in the attached resolution.
Thank you. Second. Made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I'll be voting in favor of this project and would like to thank Todd for making the move to Bedford to invest in the community. And I know it'll be a successful project and look forward to hopefully doing more things in the future. Thank you.
And you did say that you would adjust the gate, the interest way overlaid.
Anybody else? And I concur with what Brian said. Roll call.
Mr. Black?
Aye.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johannesson?
Aye.
Mr. Schley?
Aye.
Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mayor Rush?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
Okay, resolution request for proposal for construction project, conceptuals.
Pursuant with Council's decision during the October 17, 2020 Visioning, Strategic Planning, and Budget Work Session retreat to pursue conceptual drawings and construction cost estimates for a police station, a parking deck, and a farmer's market, a request for proposals was drafted by staff. The appointed building committee suggested the draft have a specialized legal review. Such review was performed, and subsequently it was determined that a resolution by council would be required to proceed. The resolution was drafted, approved by the building committee, and forwarded to the council for approval prior to submission for such proposals. Tonight, council is requested to approve the resolution to allow staff to release the RFP and begin seeking proposals.
And part while you're standing up, feel I can do it, I'll let you do it. Can you define the purpose of the resolution?
Yes, essentially the purpose of the resolution is to release our invitation for interested parties to submit potential design build documents related to these 3 conceptual uses.
Thank you. I knew that question would make come up. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution regarding issuance of a request for proposals for the police facility, parking garage, and farmer's market.
I'll second it.
Is there a discussion? everybody's read this RFP and okay with it. Roll call.
Mr.
One thing, just one thing, I'm not suggesting, there were a couple things in the committee that we talked about we could potentially handle under the negotiation of the contract. I know there's been some discussion since we kind of put this RFP in place in regards to just the farmer's market, about the potential to maybe do something at the existing site versus moving it down here. You know, when I brought this up at the visioning meeting, I guess it was a concept, an idea, and I'm still okay with this concept, but at some point, I think we need to let the community kind of opine as to whether this is where they, you know, want that after that concept, or if they would like for us to maybe revisit the current site to see if there's improvements that need to be done there. I'm not suggesting we make that as a change to this RFP, but I wanted to get that on the record that I think we may need to, you know.
Get some input from the
Right.
people that use the farmer's market and how they feel about it.
I've gotten several inquiries about it, and I would agree that we need to revisit it to some degree, to make sure that we're doing what the community wants, not what we want.
Right.
This states it's a needs study for all three facilities, and there will be a public hearing after these things are done and the presentations are done.
Unless y'all feel like we should put, I mean, obviously, if you add that option A down below the police station, option B, look at how you can improve the current site. I mean, we could add that language here. That's probably gonna increase the cost, obviously, of the RFP for that particular piece of it. But, I mean, that's, you know, I'm not sure what everybody thinks about that, or if that's something we should.
Any idea how much that would add to
Nah,
that?
I have no idea. I don't even know how much it is gonna cost. That's why we're getting.
That's why we're getting this RFP.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have no idea now.
Okay. We're asking for proposals, so we
Right.
could look at that.
This request doesn't include addressing the existing farmer's market.
Correct.
It
Correct.
could, the request, the conceptual stage absolutely can address that. It has
As it's written.
Yes, as it's written, the space needs study can determine that, and they'll give you recommendations. So then when you do a design build, it's not married to that site. It can be done at a different location.
Yeah.
So we're still open to that, even with this.
Yes, yeah, I don't think none of this is, you know.
We're not pouring any concrete.
Yeah, that's right.
For the record, Tim and I was on the committee. But it specifically says needs study, which is what we
Yeah,
call.
I mean, they may determine that's, it's better off staying where it's at.
It's like.
Or they may, sorry, Stacy, they may, when they do their space needs study, those people on the farmer's market may say, you know what, that is a better site for us. So, I mean, that's what this is to hash out.
This is the first step.
So it is.
Roll call.
Mr. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Johannesson?
Aye.
Mr. Schley?
Aye.
Mr. Schoen?
Aye.
Mr. Stanley?
Aye.
Mr. Black?
Aye.
Mayor Rush?
Aye.
Motion carries with 7 ayes.
Okay, that concludes this meeting. Thank you, Brian, again.